Okay, so 6:44 p.m. and 44 is actually a number that relates to what I'm about to do. Friday, January 5, 2018. So we're only 2 days away from the date I've been talking about, the date when I think there's going to be twin volcanic eruptions in Bali and Sumatra, Mount Agung and Mount Sinabung, and that will act as a warning sign for Tropical Cyclone Irving, or an oracle, not necessarily a warning, but an oracle for Irving, which I think Irving will be the most noteworthy tropical cyclone of the season for Australia. So 6:45 p.m. Now that's actually the time when I think the eruptions may happen in Indonesia, Indonesian time. So it will be 9:45 p.m. in Australia, in Canberra, east coast of Australia, because Bali is 3 hours behind Canberra, or New South Wales. And so 6:45 Bali time is when I think the eruption, or at least one of the eruptions, the one in Bali, is going to happen, Mount Agung. And so yeah, it's Friday, January 5, and there's some pretty bad weather heading Australia's way at the moment, with a 45-degree day coming for Western Sydney. As it says here, several areas in Sydney's west are predicted to swelter through the weekend, with highs of 45 degrees in Penrith, 44 in Richmond, and 43 in Liverpool, Blacktown and Campbelltown. So hot. It's going to be hot, especially on Sunday in Sydney, and on Saturday in Melbourne and in Adelaide as well. So the forecast for Canberra for tomorrow is 37, and for Sunday it's 39. So that's pretty intense heat, then cooling down again after that and getting wet. Some rain in the mix after the heat. If we have a look at Melbourne, let's go with Melbourne next. Melbourne's forecast was revised upwards even more. For tomorrow it's going to be 42, so very, very hot day for Melbourne, and windy, so a very high or a severe fire danger, and then the temperature crashing down the next day and staying down for a few days and then wobbling around as it does. And the other one is Adelaide. Adelaide's going also for some pretty extreme heat tomorrow, 41 degrees, and similar thing, really hot tomorrow with very dangerous conditions with the strong winds, and then the temperature coming right back and staying back more or less. So that's what's happening in Australia, extreme heat, and that has kind of inspired me to do something, write something. So it's 6:48 now, 48. The value of the word rude, R-U-D-E, equals 48. And oh yeah, in America right now, if I just turn the volume up on this, there is the opposite thing happening with a big storm.
The winter storm is pummeling the East Coast, hurling blinding snow, flooding coastal streets, and packing wind gusts as strong as a Category 1 hurricane.
You always worry when there's a lot of wind blowing that the trees are going to come down. It's scary.
This pattern of weather is called a bomb cyclone, and it's become deadly.
This is a serious storm between the very low temperature, the strong winds, the driving snow. Everyone should take this one very seriously and take precautions.
The storm is so massive it can be seen from space, blanketing the East Coast. In Boston, an icy river forms in the streets as the storm dumps snow. Across the region, governors urge people to stay off the slick roads.
We're having accidents, but we're having fewer accidents as a result of people actually staying home and cooperating with us.
The weather grounded flights, closed schools, and emptied grocery store shelves.
People are in a panic.
For many, the worst is still to come, with record-breaking bitter cold in the forecast.
The storms have been getting worse. Extreme weather is a reality. We're seeing storms of a severity that we've never seen before.
It's going to be an absolute scorcher on Saturday and Sunday across the southeast as hot northerly winds increase. Those are winds that come from the interior. We're seeing widespread heat above 40 degrees across New South Wales, Victoria, western parts of Queensland, South Australia, with temperatures in the mid-30s throughout Tasmania. Not only are authorities warning of this spike in heat, but we are also looking at the fire danger during this period, which is the worst in several years for some parts of South Australia, with catastrophic fire weather warnings already released for some very populated areas, including the Mount Lofty Ranges and the lower southeast districts. The heat itself looks to be about the hottest in 2 years for a handful of locations in Victoria and Tasmania, including Melbourne and Geelong, as temperatures reach the low 40s there. And across Tasmania, in the mid-30s, could be the hottest in about 2 years for Hobart as well. But then we have a change that's going to be bowling through. This is with the cold front. Now, usually we do see showers with cold fronts, but this is a very, very dry change. It's only going to be heralded maybe by some clouds, but mostly a change in wind direction and a rapid drop in temperature. By the afternoon, Adelaide looks to see that cool change, and in the late afternoon, Melbourne, the evening, Hobart. Then it will start rolling across the entire state. Ahead of it, though, we can see that fire danger so elevated. This is dangerous fire weather. When fires start in these conditions, they can quickly become out of control and unpredictable. It doesn't guarantee that a fire is going to be started, but they describe the behavior from which a fire will burn. Now, even populated areas in New South Wales on Saturday have a very high fire danger, including the Illawarra, Shoalhaven, Sydney, and Greater Hunter regions. But as we move forward one day, we can see that cooler change coming through, dropping temperatures in the order of 15 to 20 degrees between days. But New South Wales, the heat starts to peak on Sunday. A gusty cold change will be coming up the coastline, but it's only a brief respite because as that trough moves north, it then gets blocked by this high-pressure system, and northerly winds develop yet again. So although the heat peaks on Sunday for New South Wales, particularly western parts of the Hunter and Sydney region, where it looks to reach the mid-40s at times, we will see it return to the high 30s and maybe even the 40s later in the week. Now, I said this change was dry. That's true, except for when we start to see it interact with a bit more moisture in inland parts of New South Wales. And this is when we start to see that change coming through on Wednesday, and on Tuesday and Monday. That's when we'll see those thunderstorms start to trigger. So not necessarily over the weekend, but into the beginning of next week. That's when more moisture is available, and that's when thunderstorms become much more likely. A secondary cool change will come through about midweek for parts of the New South Wales coast, triggering some showers and some gustier conditions. Now, this is happening because we have what looks to be another burst of the monsoon coming through this season, probably around Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, as the monsoon draws closer to the Kimberley region of Western Australia, a cold front looks to snap through the southwest of the country, and that is going to be drawing a lot of moisture across western parts of the nation. And the next cold
Could
front
be
that's
Irving.
coming through later next week, it looks to be completely moisture-laden. So we're going to see widespread showers, rain, and storms with that later next week. It's going to be very hot over the next few days across the southeast, and as such,
So there we go. That is the Weather Channel, giving an update on what's happening with the weather in Australia. So that took a little bit of time, but it's important. And what else was I looking at? Yeah, this article, there's an interview on here too, which might play.
Australia, Victoria and Tasmania, with Saturday being the hottest day. Now we're likely to see gusty northerly winds ahead of a cooler change that will move in. That'll push the temperature up towards 41 degrees in Adelaide, and our forecasters behind me look like they're going to push the temperature up to 42 degrees for the forecast in Melbourne on Saturday. And then in Hobart, we're also looking at 34 degrees, so very warm conditions across the southeast. Now, as I said, gusty winds ahead of that change, and then the change moving through during the afternoon, expected to reach Adelaide around early to mid-afternoon, and then Melbourne around 6 p.m. But the winds behind it are likely to be equally as squally, if not a fraction stronger. So that's why we're pushing up these fire danger. We're seeing fire dangers elevated across many districts, reaching catastrophic through the Mount Lofty Ranges and the lower southeast in South Australia. And what that means is if there's any fires that are going in the landscape, they're going to be very difficult to control. And we're seeing extreme fire dangers likely through many districts of Victoria and also other districts in South Australia.
So Adam, it's really that southeast belt that you're talking about, and it's interesting that you point out the wind warnings particularly, which are really going to flame the hot weather, aren't they?
Well, we don't have any wind warnings out as such. I mean, we are expecting very gusty conditions, and we could see wind gusts up to around 80 kilometres an hour, so average winds of around 30 to 40 kilometres an hour ahead of the change, then swinging around to the southwesterly at around 30 to 50 kilometres an hour potentially, particularly through Victoria, but gusting around 80 kilometres an hour. So these are very gusty winds, and winds are obviously one of the important ingredients when it comes to fire danger, together with humidity and also air temperature. Now, once we move into New South Wales, the main hot day for New South Wales will be on Sunday. We're looking at temperatures around in the high 30s for Sydney, but in the western suburbs up to 45, as you mentioned, in Penrith there. And now that change, as I said, moves through Victoria and Tasmania on Saturday. It'll move through New South Wales on Sunday, but it's only going to be weak. So for people in New South Wales, I'll see a little bit of relief on Sunday evening, but temperatures are likely to remain high again on Monday. And we'll see probably severe heat wave conditions reached because of that through into the early part of next week.
But it's going to start tomorrow really in Victoria, as you mentioned. There's been a total fire ban placed in there. What should people in that state be doing? How do you potentially prepare for this heat wave?
Well, the first thing we'd say is obviously make sure you're aware across everything that the CFA is advising through Victoria, the CFS in South Australia and the TFS in Tasmania. They're the fire agencies, and they'll advise of all the emergency warnings and all of the precautions people need to take. So it really is about keeping on top of all the weather information on the Bureau of Meteorology's website and keeping abreast of all the emergency information from the fire services.
And Adam, very importantly, how long is the severe weather likely to last?
As I said, this is a fairly short and sharp burst. So people in Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania will only see the one day of it on Saturday. Once that change moves through, temperatures, particularly in Melbourne, are likely to drop around 20 degrees within a couple of hours. And the maximum temperatures forecast on Sunday are back into the low 20s. So we go from the low 40s on Saturday back to the low 20s on Sunday. As I said, in New South Wales, though, that heat will likely remain around a little bit longer through into early part of next week, just because that change is a bit weaker through New South Wales.
Okay. So that is a little story on what's happening, which is potentially really dangerous, actually, with that wind change coming through. And it's going to be quite a strong wind change. The winds are not going to be any less... They're going to actually be stronger behind the change than in front of the change. And you don't see that too often. And when you do, it's not good. It's dangerous. 19. That is the keystone number in The Dark Tower by Stephen King. That's cool. So yeah, I did. I actually went on Pinterest and found a few photos to go with what I've written. And there's definitely a spiritual dimension to what I've written today. And like usual. And the two boys who have sort of delivered this prophecy to me for the twin volcanic eruptions and Cyclone Irving, they were Jacob Wertling, who died aged 11, and Nathan Breeze, who died aged 13. Jacob from Minnesota, Nathan from Victoria. And so an American boy and an Australian boy who I've connected. And some people think, you know, oh, geez, crazy, talking about dead people as if they're alive somewhere. And I'm like, yeah? Well, I actually think I'm offering a pretty cool alternative to what's around. When I look at the world today, who's the Christians in the world today? You got Vladimir Putin, you got people like Tony Abbott, climate change denier, Peter Dutton, someone who likes to demonize people of colour, and you've got Donald Trump, who say no more. I mean, there's a lot of people. Scott Morrison, Australia's treasurer, is a Christian, and yet all of these people don't exactly behave in a very Christian way. So I think being spiritual is actually probably, there's nothing more important these days than to have people who are spiritual in a way that means something, rather than in a way that just speaks to having power over people. That's my view. So yeah, that is the current satellite photo of Australia, and I've already gone through tomorrow's forecast. Immensely hot for Melbourne, and pretty hot for Canberra and Adelaide. Very hot for Adelaide. And I might just mention Nathan Breeze from Victoria. He died on Black Saturday. Worst bushfire disaster in Australia's history. And you'd probably expect, given that Nathan died in a bushfire, and given the forecast that I've just played, you'd think, well, wouldn't you be predicting bushfires? Considering there's a very high chance. Well, there is a very high chance of bushfires. There will be bushfires over the coming days. Almost guaranteed there'll be some. No, I decided to take a different angle. And, you know, instead of focusing on bushfires, the horror that, you know, was the end of Nathan's life, I've decided to focus on volcanoes. Because volcanoes, you know, are actually a potential answer to global warming. They do have the ability to cool things down a bit. If a volcano pumps enough sulfur dioxide up into the troposphere, it can have a cooling effect on the Earth. And that is desperately needed right now. So, Saturday, 6th of January 2018, not far away. It's now Friday the 5th, so 7:01, so yeah, we're only 5 hours away from Saturday the 6th in Canberra, or New South Wales, ACT. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18, which is the value of MAD, M-A-D. It's the value of me, M-E. 13th letter, 5th letter. 13 plus 5 is 18. Lee is the mother of the twin boys, Daniel and Samuel, in a certain story called Red Rain by R.L. Stein, which is kind of connected to how I've put this prediction together in a weird way. Lee is the adoptive mum of the two twin boys in that story. Me, Mad Lee, 6 times 6 times 6 is 36, the value of child. And if you times 36 by 18, the value of me, child, me, 36 times 18 equals 666. Have faith, Josh, 10:9:45. That was the message I saw as I was waking up from my dream back on Saturday, 12th of May 2012. 12 is the age of the twins in Red Rain. I is the 9th letter of the alphabet. Irving will be the next tropical cyclone, a name given to a cyclone that forms in Australian waters. Irving, which will probably be next week. Joshua equals 74. I connected this message to an 11-year-old boy at my work named Josh. 74 times 9 is 666. I, Joshua. Saturday, 12th of March, 2016. Keeping in mind that 2016 is 666 times 6 plus 6 times 6. 6 times 3. So it's 666 times 3 plus 6 times 3 is 2016. And if you take Saturday the 12th of March 2016 plus 666 days, you land on the date we're talking about. The date of the twin signs, the twin fire signs. Logic says bushfires. I'm saying volcanoes in Indonesia, because bushfires are just too predictable at the moment. John Jake Chambers, 666 days after March 12. John Jake Chambers is the 11-year-old boy in The Dark Tower by Stephen King. And of course an erupting volcano is like a dark tower. Countdown of the simultaneous eruptions of Agung and Sinabung equals 666. So I'm not going to keep saying 666, but every line has the same value here. 666 if you add up all the letters according to their place in the alphabet. So 3 plus 15 plus 21 plus 14, and I could go on, but I won't. Simultaneous January 7th eruptions of Agung and Sinabung. I don't know how you pronounce this one, so I'm going to go with Sinabung. Sinabung? Sinabung. Doesn't really matter. Both sound pretty cool. Simultaneous volcanic eruptions of Sinabung and my twin Agung. Simultaneous molten fire, twin fire eruptions of Sinabung and Agung. Sinabung and Agung erupting brilliantly on the 7th of January. And what's the time now? 7:05 on January 5th. And what if we go have a look at... Hello buddy. What if we go have a look in Denpasar, Bali, which is pretty close to Mount Agung. It is 4:05 PM, Friday, 5th of January 2018. That's pretty cool. Local time in Indonesia, Bali, Denpasar. Back to our satanic 666s. Twin signs, Sinabung and Agung erupting on the 7th of January. Twin bad boys, Sinabung and Agung erupting on the 7th of January. Hot boy sign, Sinabung and Agung erupting on the 7th of January. Gwil, Satan, Sinabung and Agung erupting on the 7th of January. Satan, Irving, Sinabung and Agung erupting on the 7th of January. Jake Wetterling, Sinabung and Agung on Sunday, the 7th of January. The Rude Boy code of 1, 2, 3. Now the Rude Boy, just those three words, has a value of 123. And the boy who I always thought of as the Rude Boy, who was a boy who, because of his rudeness, reminded me of Jake Wetterling. Because Jake actually is wearing a shirt called with the Rude Boy, or Rude Boy, on the front of the shirt in one of the photos that there is of Jake. So I came to think of Jake as the Rude Boy simply because of the t-shirt. And then this boy, who actually was quite rude, because he compared tornadoes, very first time I met him, he compared tornadoes to, you can guess what, and he was 9. Well, I came to think of him as the Rude Boy. And the Rude Boy actually equals 1, 2, 3. And it's his birthday on Sunday. So it's his birthday in 2 days from now. And bad equals 7. And it is 7:07. So, code the birthday, 6:45 PM on Friday, December 22. That's what I think the time will be in Bali when Agung goes off. The eruptions of the twins, Sinabung and Agung, 16 days later. Friday, December 22 was the birthday of Ebony Simpson, and obviously January 7 is 16 days later. Embassy staff in red shirts, twin eruptions on January 7. Yeah, I did actually go to the Indonesian embassy, and the two greeters at the gate were both wearing red shirts, one of them wearing a nice red Hawaiian shirt. So I thought that could be a bit of a sign. Tommy, 2 eyes, handball, t-shirt, Indonesians wearing red shirts. Tommy, 2 eyes, handball, t-shirt, true Mount Agung date and time code. Tommy, 2 eyes, handball, t-shirt, hours arrived on Mount Agung. Mount Sinabung in Sumatra. Jacob mirrors his boyfriend Nathan Agung in Bali. 44 home, Jacob's Hope. Twin eruptions on January 7. Twin eruptions. Twins. Identical twins. 12-year-old identical twins wearing red. One of the photos I found on Pinterest this afternoon. 12 times 2, 24. I am a Bali kid. Bad lad. Friday, 24th of November 2017 was Nathan Breeze's birthday, and he would have turned 22 last year. 22 times 2 is 44, and that's the number of days between Nathan's birthday and this Sunday, the 7th of January 2018, which is John's birthday. John's turning 15. And the last time I saw John, he told me he's doing an assignment at school on volcanoes. A hot, hidden hope was a nude teen. A good place to be on a 40-degree day is down at the beach, doing some sketches. And you don't really need any clothes at that temperature, do you? Great temperature for skinny dipping. 4 times 4 is 16. The beautiful, hot 16-year-old Penrith boy in his red shorts. The 44-degree boy's sexual heat on Sunday, January 7. And some people say, why are you talking about sexual stuff when you're talking about 11 and 13-year-old boys? Well, Nathan Breeze was 13. He had a girlfriend. He worked his arse off, actually, to earn enough money to be able to take his girlfriend to the movies. So, it's not as if boys of that age are asexual beings. Definitely not. And sexuality can actually be a very powerful healing thing. The 44-degree heat is building up on Sunday, January 7. The hot Penrith boy is a human thermometer for hell, a goon, and Sinabung. The sexy Penrith bad boy is a human thermometer for a goon and Sinabung. Physically scintillating twin eruptions on January 7. The eruptions of Sinabung and Agung, the Dark Tower storm symbol. Jacob's train is the birthday oracle, 9:45 on January 7. Agung train is the birthday oracle, 9:45 on January 7. Canberra time. And speaking of Canberra time, it's now 7:12. 37:12, The Age of the Twins, in Red Rain by R.L. Stein. The date of birth of the rebel boy. Twin eruptions on January 7. Code of the boy Joshua and Dane and Satan, 9:45 on January 7. The code of Jacob Owen Wetterling, 9:45 on January 7. 2 times 9 equals 18, 9:45 on January 7. The hurricane on September 6, 9:45 on January 7. So that was the birthday of another boy who really did remind me of Jacob Wetterling. And he was the boy who told me that Wetterling means weather child. He turned 15 on September 6, which is when Jose became a hurricane. The serpent on September 6, 9:45 on January 7. The boy Satan on September 6, 9:45 on January 7. Sneaky Boy's birthday mirror, 9:45 on January 7. 9:45 p.m. in Canberra. Carl Jung's concept of synchronicity. 9:45 p.m. in Canberra, the night of Jacob Wetterling's abduction. 9:45 p.m. in Canberra. I don't really need that twice, do I? Josh and his 3, 2, 1 countdown. 9:45 p.m. in Canberra. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, from my dream on the 12th of May 2012 until Good Friday, the 29th of March 2013, was 321 days. August 21, Joshua's birthday. Last year it coincided with the total solar eclipse across the United States. 9:45 on Sunday, January 7. 4 days after Josh's birthday, Hurricane Harvey made landfall on San Jose Island at 9:45, or on Rockport at 10 p.m. local time in Texas. The slinky Penrith panther boy, Joshua, is hot on January 7. Home 44 countdown, 9:45 on January 7. I think I should have put a full stop there. And the slinky Penrith panther boy, Joshua, speaks on January 7. And I might just mention that Harvey and Irving have the same value, 79. The slinky Penrith panther boy. Have faith, Josh, 9:45 p.m. Panthers, Tigers, Cincinnati Bengals. Oh well, I guess Bengals, Tigers, Panthers, Black Panthers, Black-haired Panthers, Striped Tigers, Cincinnati Tigers, Sinful Cincinnati Tigers. Satan, the sinfully hot Cincinnati Bengal boy, is slinky like a panther. Satan, the sinfully hot Cincinnati Bengal boy, is slinky like a panther. True. Slinky. Slinky is such a cool word. The sexy striped orange Bengal tiger boy is slinky like a black panther. The western Balmain tigers became an endangered Great Southernland species. The panther boy from Penrith is the rebel Bengal teenager from Cincinnati, which is in Ohio, America. The Bengal tiger boy from Cincinnati, dancing with a brat Jake from Minnesota. Minnesota, the land of ice and snow, although that's the entire east coast of America right now. The red hot boys are dancing in a dangerous, freezing cold winter storm. The hot boy, Jacob's freezing ass. His cold, bare legs need a volcanic eruption. The hot boy's freezing bare legs, his cold legs, need a nice volcanic eruption. The Cincinnati Bengal tiger boy awakens Sinabong for his freezing bare legs. The slinky panther boy, Hottie, needs the hot Bengal boy's snowballs. The athletic Bengal boy gives some snowballs to the cute panther boy. The adolescent panther from Penrith awakens the tiger from Sumatra. Sinabong in Sumatra is a good hot boy for the sinful Cincinnati tiger. The hot sporty boy Jake touching himself in his footy shorts. The hot sporty boy Jake gets his jollies in his red footy shorts. Nathan Sinabong in Sumatra is whipping up a pajama day with Jacob Agung. Jacob Agung in Bali is whipping up a double prophecy with Nathan Sinabong. Volcanic eruption 666. Bad Boys Code at 9:45 p.m. The scorching heat of the red hot male fireboy on Sunday, January 7. Little 11-year-old rascal John doing a school project on volcanoes. Jacob Wetterling counts down John, a 15-year-old birthday boy. Demon John Carl Gluck's 15th birthday on Sunday, January 7. Demon Boy John Gluck's 15th birthday on Sunday, January 7. Angelic Boy John Gluck's birthday party on Sunday, January 7. Satan the 15-year-old snake. 8-year-old boys Oliver and Elliot. Oliver and Elliot. Red. The mad athletic boy Oliver asking about the novel Red Rain by R.L. Stein. Did you bring it? Did you bring the book? Actually, I forgot the book. I'm sorry, Ollie. Samuel's reflection. The boy Elliot mentioned the Red Murder 11. Turn 9 on its head and you get 6. Indonesian boy Samuel's red hat. Red socks. Red shirts. No red shorts. The boy Elliot mentioned the Red Murder 11, Republic of Indonesia. The boy Elliot mentions the Red Murder 11 like Red Mount Agung. The boy Elliot mentioned the Red Murder 11, 9:45 p.m. Canberra time. Turn 9 on its head and you get 6. Sinabung and Agung resurrected. The Josh Prophecy, 6:45 p.m. on Sunday, January 7. Striking coincidence, 6:45 p.m. on Sunday, January 7. Spiritual Twin, 6:45 p.m. on Sunday, January 7. The Hot Sexy Boy, 6:35 p.m. on Sunday, January 7. Angel Prophesying, 6:45 p.m. on Sunday, January 7. Wetterling's prediction of Mount Agung's volcanic eruption. The explosive eruption. Jacob's message to the world. Can you hear me? Ralph Cedric, Stansmore Morris, and Nathan David Breeze. Satan of Mount Agung. 2 boys who both died from fires. But Ralph died in 1899 at Junee in New South Wales. The boy who died in a bushfire. Nathan David Breeze and Jacob Irwin Wetterling. Jacob Irwin Wetterling and Nathan David Breeze. Synchronous coincidence. Jacob Irwin Wetterling and Nathan David Breeze. The eruption of Mount Agung. King of the Bad Boys Satan, the Red Hot Magma Boy, on Sunday, January 7. The red hot 15-year-old Satan was steaming under the heavy cold rain. The bad red hot 666 fireboy steaming under the heavy cold rain. The bad red hot fireboy. Did I read that? I think I did. The bad red hot fireboy steaming under the heavy cold rain. Cyclone Irving. Jacob Agung in Bali is whipping up a proper cyclone with Nathan Sinabung. Fresh air. The breeze. Nathan Breeze. Breath of fresh air. The hot oracular twin brats warning for tropical cyclone Irving. The eruptions of the twins Sinabung and Agung. My bad cyclone Irving. Eruptions of my twins Sinabung and Agung. Irving is my bad cyclone. Turn 9 on its head and you get a Sneaky Boys demon cyclone, Irving. Turn 9 on its head and you get 6. The presence of a boy's spirit. The spirits of hot twin teenage bad boys on Sunday, January 7. T-shirt, handball. There's something about the name Tommy Two Eyes. Tommy 2 feet. Tommy 2 legs. Tommy 2 arms. Tommy 2 eyes. 2 volcanoes. Turn 9 on its head and you get 6. The presence of a boy's spirit. I read that, didn't I? The spirits of hot twin teenage bad boys on Sunday, January 7. T-shirt, handball. There's something about the name Tommy Two Eyes. 2 volcanoes is better than 1. So I read that twice. Tommy Two Eyes, handball, T-shirt. The video clip for Side by Travis. Jacob Irwin Wetterling and Nathan David Breeze. Mr. Little Jeans, Oh Sailor. Equals 666. They all equal 666. Is it a coincidence that the 2 embassy greeters were wearing red shirts? Was it a coincidence that Samuel, who is from Jakarta, was wearing a red hat? And was it a coincidence that when I asked him, do you know what a red hat means? He answered, a red hat means 666. I had already worked out the date December 6 based on 666. Your soul to keep in this deep blue seas. 16 days later, it was December 22, the birthday of Ebony Simpson, a day when I experienced so many coincidences to do with songs that were playing on the radio that the entire day could have been a soundtrack put together by none other than Nathan Breeze from King Lake West, describing what happened to him, his feelings about what happened to him, his feelings about life in general. Nathan was a true romantic, a truly romantic boy, a truly romantic soul. And so that's what I would rather talk about in making a prediction, rather than just focus on bushfires and the horror that is associated with global warming right now. And I would rather that people know there's another dimension to life. And there is a side to Christianity that does not involve hypocrisy or being really nasty and mean to people, like successive ministers have been as the head of Immigration and Border Protection in Australia. Peter Dutton is the current guy in that job, and before that it was Scott Morrison. Once upon a time it was Philip Ruddock. These are not nice people. These are not people who reflect any kind of Christian values. Unless you consider being really mean and cruel to be Christian. I guess it can be Christian. And that's the problem. So yeah, that's my prediction. It's now 4:28. It was 28 years last year since Jacob Wetterling's murder. Murder 11. Oliver and Elliot both said at the same time, just after Samuel said, a red hat means 666. And in between that, they were talking about the name Irwin. Not quite Irving, but Irwin is the middle name of Jacob Wetterling. Coincidence? Is it a coincidence that there was a fire just up the road from where I live on Jake's 28th birthday? 39th birthday last year, 28 years after his murder. Was it a coincidence that actually the fire was on Jake's birthday? It was his 39th birthday. And then 39 days later, Cyclone Debbie hit Airlie Beach in Queensland on Tuesday, the 28th of March, 2017. So 39 days after Jake's 39th birthday. Cyclone Debbie equals 27, Jake equals 27. Coincidence? Probably, yeah. It is a coincidence. But maybe a meaningful coincidence. And a meaningful coincidence is different to just any old coincidence. And that's what synchronicity is about. That's what Carl Jung was talking about when he coined the term. Yeah, I'll leave it there. That's a good place to end because it's 7:30, dinner time. Twin fires as a sign for Cyclone Irving. Will Irving be a twin? Will there be a Joyce at the same time? Don't know. I do know that Irving is going to be the most noteworthy tropical cyclone of this season in Australia. Guaranteed. Jacob equals 31. Bad equals 7. Bad Jacob.